Hello and welcome again to Match Fishing TV. I've been joined in the studio today by Andy May from Mozilla, who's come along to talk about hair rigging various baits from pellets right the way through to worms. Andy, thanks for coming in.
No problem.
I know a lot of anglers struggle when it comes to hair rigging, particularly we seem to get a lot of letters sent into the magazine. Anglers saying we start off okay when the match is just getting underway, then their hands get slimed up and messed up, and I have all sorts of problems getting pellets onto the hair or onto the band. I know you've been working with a new product recently that's going to take away all that problem. So
yeah, it's fantastic. It's called the Bandabait tool.
Right.
Basically, you can just put it onto the band, and you can see. I'll just explain for you there. It just expands out to different sizes. It's so easy to actually hair rig the pellets. I'll show you. Basically, just putting the band over the tip of the Bandabait tool, and then by pressing it slightly, you can expand the band out. And then just get one of these pellets here. This is an 8mm pellet. We'll just put that in the actual band, and then just close the device onto it, and just slip it out, and that's it. That's hair rig for you. It's so easy when, say, as you're saying, your hands are slimy or can be a bit cold or something like that, or you've got quite big hands, and it's such a brilliant device. It really is.
And you've got all sizes of bands for this as well. I mean, that's a really tiny band.
Yeah, I mean, the beauty about these new bands, what Mozilla brought out, I'll just get them for you. It's these the new F1 micro bands. Are the smallest band on the market, but you can hair rig anything from a size 3mm up to a size 12mm pellet on them. Right. Absolutely fantastic they are, and for a lot of the fishing what we do up north, where it's a little bit harder and the fish is smaller, for the F1s where you're banding these smaller pellets, the 4mm, is absolutely unbelievable. Right. And if you try getting the band over one of them with your hands, especially when it's slimy, it's quite difficult to use in one of these.
This band you've got on this now, that's what size is that one? Will you show me?
That's the micro band on that hair rig there.
Okay, well just show me how you put the small pellet onto that then.
Basically, it's the same way, just putting the device into the band, put it under the tip, just putting it over the pellet, expanding it slightly. You don't need to expand it too far because it's only a small pellet. Just getting one of the tiny pellets and just put it into the band, let the device close down to the pellet, and then just basically just slip it off.
I mean, this would be a real fiddly job, wouldn't it, by hand, particularly in the winter months?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And like we said, identified with earlier, when your hands are all slimed up, it's almost impossible.
Oh, I mean, this alleviates all them problems, so it really is a fantastic device. And again, with these microbands, these will stay on. You can have loads of bites on that. You can catch even 2 or 3 fish on it. It'll never ever come off. Yeah,
and it's such a simple device, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
Whoever came up with this, it's. So this comes with that's just a silicone rubber holding the thing together.
Every now and again you can get the silicone wearing out, so it comes with quite a long length of silicone, just so you can cut it with scissors and just put it back over. Yeah. It just saves a problem. Or even float rubbers, anything like that, stick float rubbers. They'll do exactly the same thing.
What about different baits? So obviously it's perfect for pellets in the first instance.
Perfect for pellet, yes. But also with the new bread what Mozilla brought out, we can actually hair rig that as well. I'll just show you some here. And if you just get the device, and then we'll just get the bread and put it inside. The thing to remember is when you close in the Bandabait tool down it, is just to keep it under a slight bit of tension, because if you close it completely, it'll just cut into the bread too much. So just keep it under a slight bit of tension, and then just with your nails, just release it from the tool like that. That'll be perfect for you.
Fantastic. That's really good. And I know as well, you mentioned earlier about you've been using this with worms as well.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. You wouldn't have thought you could actually hair rig a worm, but yeah,
I don't know if it's a kind of way with worms or sticking the hook in them, to be honest.
Strangled. What I'm doing at home to do to them though, yeah.
But you use the smallest band again for trapping a dendrobina?
Yeah, exactly, the smallest band again. If you started using some of the bigger bands, then yeah, the worm probably wouldn't be.
So whereabouts would you trap the worm? Would that be just...
Chop it between, the egg sac right at the end, at the tip of the worm, on the dendrobina, just slip it over that and then chop it, and then just put it back towards the egg sac where you'd normally rip it off, to put the hook back in. Okay. Just chop it behind there and it'll never ever come off.
Other baits, I assume it works well with sweet corn?
Sweet corn works well with, meat, you can work with meat. Basically any bait that can go on a band, it will go on. It's so versatile, it really is.
So you've got bands in various diameters. What sizes do they come in?
They come in the small micro band size, which is 2mm, right the way up to the 8mm bands. Basically, the reason for the bigger bands is for softer baits.
Right.
A lot of the pleasure fishers nowadays using baits like prawns, mussels, things like
Which
that.
would obviously be like smashed to pieces.
Oh
with a
yeah,
tiny
if
one.
you tried hair rigging, one of them on a tiny band, it just cut right the way through it. So that's the reason for the big bands.
Okay, hair lengths. Do you always tie your hair lengths exactly the same length?
No, I don't. The reason I've got this hair quite long, Dave, is because of the bread. We've got the bread on, and obviously when it's in the water it expands out. Right. So basically the hook's going to be right above the bread on that one. Normally I'd like to have it, my hair just above the top of the hook, when I'm fishing normal pellets. But so the only reason that I've got a longer one for this is for the bread, just to cater for it when it expands out.
Right. And when you're tying these, then when you're tying the band into the hair, how do you do? What particular knot do you use?
Basically, it's just like a normal hook length loop, just a double overhanded. It's always very important to make sure you do the knot twice rather than once, because it'll slip otherwise.
So you go through, you bring it through twice like an ordinary hook length.
And then just keep your finger and thumb on it as you're pulling tight, and that'll keep it nice and small.
Yes.
Or there's devices like loop ties what you can buy as well, but I've always found it just as easy to do by hand. And also, if you can notice, Dave, the bands attaching a little tiny loop, very, very important. That must be in a loop. What would happen if you tied the band direct onto the hair, onto the line? When it's under pressure, it'll just snap off. Or quite often, what can happen, it can snap off in your landing net. It's happened loads of times to me, so always make sure it's in the little loop, then it's free running then.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
But when you're setting it up then, to get the distance exactly right, which sort of size pellet do you work on with that?
Basically, a lot of the fishing, what I do, going up north, it's going to be for F1, so I'll be using the smaller pellets. So what I do first, I put the band on first, and then I put the pellet inside the band, and then I'll get the hook and judge it by that, and then I'll whip it on, do a knotless knot and tie it on that way. So
knotless knots for you, they're dead straightforward. If you've never tied a knotless knot, there's no excuse not to learn it. You go through the eye, how many turns?
I always do 12 on all mine, spade and eyed.
And just come back up twice and back through or once?
Come back through once,
right.
That's all,
okay. Perfect. Well, I think this tool is an ingenious device. Just every now and again a gizmo comes onto the market that revolutionises fishing, and if you're an angler that struggles to get pellets on, and I know I've been there in the past when I've tried to do it with cold hands or with slimy hands, this is going to be something that's going to revolutionise the way you fish. So check them out at the tackle shop, go and buy one, because in my opinion every angler should have one of these in the box, particularly on cold days.
Oh, definitely.
And check out the bands as well, particularly the small ones. Clearly that they're a fantastic invention for pellet fishing and for other baits. Try them out with things like worms and things like that. But, thanks for coming along to the studio. It's been a great insight, and I'm going to keep that. Cheers, pal.
Thank you.